Top 5 experiments gone wrong. Bonus footage brought by creepy candlelight ghost stories. Number 5, Kola Super Deep Borehole. The Kola Super Deep Borehole is the result of a scientific drilling project of the Soviet Union in the Pechingsky district, on the Kola Peninsula. The project attempted to drill as deep as possible into the Earth's crust. Drilling began on May 24, 1970 using the Uralmash 4E, and later the Uralmash 15,000 series drilling rig. Boreholes were drilled by branching from a central hole. The deepest, SG3, reached 12,262 meters or 40,230 feet and 7.619 miles in 1989 and is the deepest artificial point on Earth. The borehole is 23 centimeters or 9 inches in diameter. Microscopic plankton fossils were found 6 kilometers or 4 miles below the surface. Another unexpected discovery was a large quantity of hydrogen gas. The mud that flowed out of the hole was described as boiling with hydrogen. The project ended in 1995 due to the dissolution of the Soviet Union, and the site has since been abandoned. The ruins of the site, however, are frequently visited by curious sightseers. No one appears to know how the superstructure tower was destroyed between 2007 and 2012. Number 4, the Philadelphia Experiment. The Philadelphia Experiment is an alleged military experiment supposed to have been carried out by the U.S. Navy at the Philadelphia Naval Shipyard in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, sometime around October 28, 1943. The U.S. Navy destroyer escort USS Eldridge was claimed to have been rendered invisible, or cloaked, to enemy devices. The story first appeared in 1955, in letters of unknown origin sent to a writer and astronomer, Morris K. Jessup. The experiment was allegedly based on an aspect of some unified field theory, a term coined by Albert Einstein to describe a class of potential theories. Such theories would aim to describe, mathematically and physically, the interrelated nature of the forces of electromagnetism and gravity, in other words, uniting their respective fields into a single field. According to some accounts, unspecified researchers thought that some version of this field would enable using large electrical generators to bend light around an object via refraction so that the object became completely invisible. The Navy regarded this of military value and it sponsored the experiment. Another unattributed version of the story proposes that researchers were preparing magnetic and gravitational measurements of the seafloor to detect anomalies, supposedly based on Einstein's attempts to understand gravity. In this version, there were also related secret experiments in Nazi Germany to find anti-gravity, allegedly led by SS Obergruppenführer Hans Kammler. The U.S. Navy maintains that no such experiment was ever conducted, that the details of the story contradict well-established facts about USS Eldridge, and that the alleged claims do not conform to known physical laws. Number 3, Nazi twin experiments. Experiments on twin children in concentration camps were created to show the similarities and differences in the genetics of twins, as well as to see if the human body can be unnaturally manipulated. The central leader of the experiments was Joseph Mengele, who from 1943 to 1944 performed experiments on nearly 1,500 sets of imprisoned twins at Auschwitz. About 200 people survived these studies. The twins were arranged by age and sex and kept in barracks between experiments, which ranged from the injection of different dyes into the eyes of twins to see whether it would change their color to sewing twins together in attempts to create conjoined twins. Often, one twin would be forced to undergo experimentation, while the other was kept as a control. If the experimentation reached the point of death, the second twin would be brought in to be killed at the same time. Doctors would then look at the effects of experimentation and compare both bodies. Number 2, Russian sleep experiment. This popular story, true or not, recounts an experiment that took place at a test facility in the Soviet Union in the late 1940s. In a military-sanctioned scientific experiment, 5 political prisoners were kept in a sealed gas chamber, with a continually administered airborne stimulant for the purpose of keeping the subjects awake for 30 continuous days. The prisoners are falsely promised freedom if they complete the experiment. The subjects behave normally during the initial days, talking to each other and whispering to the researchers through the one-way glass, though it is noted their discussions gradually become darker in the subject matter. After 9 days, one subject begins screaming uncontrollably for hours while the others have no reaction to his outburst. The man screamed for so long that he tore his vocal cords. When a second begins screaming, the others prevent the researchers from looking inside by pasting torn book pages and their own feces on the porthole windows. A few days pass without the researchers being able to look inside, during which the chamber is completely silent. The researchers use the intercom to test if the subjects are still alive, and get a short response of a subject expressing compliance. On the 15th day, the researchers decided to turn off the stimulating gas and reopen the chamber. Upon looking inside, they discover that the 4 surviving subjects have performed lethal and severe mutilation and disembowelment on themselves during the past days, including tearing off flesh and muscles, removing multiple abdominal internal organs, practicing self-cannibalism, and allowing 4 of blood and water to accumulate on the floor. The subjects also violently refused to leave the chamber and begged the scientists to continue administering the stimulant, murdering one soldier and severely injuring another who was attempting to remove them. After eventually being removed from the chamber, all subjects are shown to exhibit extreme strength, unprecedented resistance to drugs and sedatives, superhuman abilities to remain alive despite lethal injuries, and a desperate desire to remain awake and being given the stimulant. It is also found that any one of the subjects who falls asleep dies instantly. After being treated for their injuries, the surviving 3 subjects are being prepared to return to the gas chamber with the stimulant, with EKG monitors showing short recurring moments of brain death. Before the chamber is sealed, one of the subjects falls asleep and dies, and one researcher draws a gun and kills another subject as well as a staff member. With only one surviving subject, the researcher asks what he is, to which the subject identifies himself as an inherent evil inside the human mind that is kept in check by the act of sleeping. The researcher shoots the prisoner in his head and then shoots himself, saying his final words. Number 1. Die Glocke. The bell was a purported top-secret Nazi scientific technological device, secret weapon, or wunderwaffe. First described by Polish journalist and author Igor Witkowski in Prod o Wunderwaffe, it was later popularized by military journalist and author Nick Cook, who associated it with Nazi occultism, anti-gravity and free energy research. In his 2001 book The Hunt for Zero Point, author Nick Cook identified claims about Die Glocke as having originated in the 2000 Polish-language book Prod o Wunderwaffe, The Truth About the Wonder Weapon, by Igor Witkowski. Cook described Witkowski's claims of a device called the Bell, engineered by Nazi scientists, that was a glowing, rotating contraption rumored to have some kind of anti-gravitational effect, be a time machine, or part of an SS anti-gravity program for a flying saucer called the Repulsive. Cook proposed that an SS official named Hans Kammler later secretly traded this technology to the US military in exchange for his freedom. You have been warned. If you want to conduct experiments, you must act with precaution.